Well, you may hear that noise. That's actually my brother-in-law does the landscaping and lawn care service here at my job. He's out here blowing leaves right now. So there's a couple of interesting articles. I originally was going to do 2 different videos this morning that I sent myself, but there's something more interesting now. I'm not sure what to make of this. And I see Bix Weir has emailed people about these same 2 things. He says the last time there was an open assault against the bad guys was in 2008 when they took down Bernie Madoff and shut down his $500 billion market rigging operation, thus destroying a large chunk of the bad guys' operating cash. Now, with that statement alone, honestly, I have to raise the BS flag. If Bernie Madoff was one of the so-called bad guys, that means he's part of the club. And if you're part of the club, you don't go to prison. So I gotta raise the BS flag on Bix Weir on that one. He says this time is even bigger and hits to the heart of the criminal operations, including the Rothschilds. And there's 2 articles he posts from Zero Hedge. Unprecedented leak exposes criminal financial dealings of some of the world's wealthiest people. And then another one, Mossack Fonseca, Nazi, CIA, Nevada connections, and why it's now Rothschild's turn. And he says word on the street is that over half of the U.S. Congress has hidden bank accounts that are involved in this disclosure. When this is laid bare to the American public, life as we know it in the good old USA will end, with the banking system shutting down in anger. Keep an eye out for massive disclosure over the coming months. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride. So, I want to, instead of reading the other ones I was talking about, videos, this has changed this morning, so I'm going to do these 2. And this first one is the unprecedented leak exposes the criminal financial dealings of some of the world's wealthiest people. An unprecedented leak of more than 11 million documents, called the Panama Papers, has revealed the hidden financial dealings of some of the world's wealthiest people, as well as 12 current and former world leaders and 128 more politicians and public officials around the world. More than 200,000 companies, foundations, and trusts are contained in the leak of information which came from a little-known but powerful law firm based in Panama called Mossack Fonseca, whose files include the offshore holdings of drug dealers, mafia members, corrupt politicians, and tax evaders, and wrongdoing galore, he says. The law firm is one of the world's top creators of shell companies which can be legally used to hide the ownership of assets. The data includes emails, contracts, bank records, property deeds, passport copies, and other sensitive information dating from 1977 to as early or recently as December 2015. It allows a never-before view inside the offshore world, providing a day-to-day, decade-by-decade look at how dark money flows through the global financial system, breeding crime and stripping national treasuries of tax revenues. Here is the brief summary of how these documents have been revealed. Over a year ago, an anonymous source contacted, I don't know how to pronounce that, it's short for SZ, and submitted encrypted internal documents from Mossack Fonseca, a Panamanian law firm that sells anonymous offshore companies around the world. These shell firms enable their owners to cover up their business dealings, no matter how shady. In the months that followed, the number of documents continued to grow far beyond the original leak. Ultimately, SZ acquired about 2.6 terabytes of data, making the leak the biggest that journalists had ever worked with. The source wanted neither financial compensation nor anything else in return, apart from a few security measures. The data provides rare insights into a world that can only exist in the shadows. It provides how a global industry led by major banks, legal firms, and asset management companies secretly manages the estates of the world's rich and famous, from politicians, FIFA officials, fraudsters, and drug smugglers, to celebrities and professional athletes. Mossack Fonseca's fingers are in Africa's diamond trade, the international art market, and other businesses that thrive on secrecy. The firm has serviced enough Middle East royalty to fill a palace. It's helped two kings, Mohammed V of Morocco and King Salman of Saudi Arabia, take to the sea on luxury yachts. In Iceland, the leaked... Oh, Iceland, huh? The one that went after their criminal bankers. In Iceland, the leaked files show how Prime Minister Sigmundur David Gunnlaugsson and his wife secretly owned an offshore firm that held millions of dollars in Icelandic bank bonds during that country's financial crisis. In the video clip below, the Prime Minister walks out of an interview with Swedish television company SVT. Gunnlaugsson is asked about a company called Wintris, which he says has been fully declared to the Icelandic tax authority. Gunnlaugsson says he is not prepared to answer such questions and decides to discontinue the interview, saying, "What are you trying to make up here? This is totally inappropriate." Oh, you got that right. The ICIJ records show Sergei Roldugin, a longtime friend of Vladimir Putin, as a behind-the-scenes player in a clandestine network operated by Putin Associates that has shuffled at least $2 billion through banks and offshore companies. German daily SZ, again I'm shorting that for SZ, and other media partners has found. In the documents, Roldugin is listed as the owner of offshore companies that have obtained payments from other companies worth tens of millions of dollars. The files include a convicted money launderer who claimed he'd arranged a $50,000 illegal campaign contribution used to pay the Watergate burglars. 29 billionaires featured in Forbes magazine's list of the world's 500 richest people, and movie star Jackie Chan, who has at least 6 companies managed through the law firm. The files contain new details about major scandals, ranging from England's most infamous gold heist to the bribery allegations convulsing FIFA, or is that FIFA, the body that rules international soccer. In the Operation Car Wash case in Brazil, prosecutors allege that Mossack Fonseca employees destroyed and hid documents to mask the law firm's involvement in money laundering. A police document says that in one instance, an employee of the firm's Brazil branch sent an email instructing co-workers to hide records involving a client who may have been the target of a police investigation. Quote, "Do not leave anything. I will save them in my car or at my house." End quote. In Nevada, the leaked file shows Mossack Fonseca employees worked in late 2014 to obscure the links between the law firm's Las Vegas branch and its headquarters in Panama in anticipation of a U.S. court order requiring it to turn over information on 123 companies incorporated by the law firm. Argentine prosecutors had linked those Nevada-based companies to a corruption scandal involving an associate of former presidents Nestor Kirchner and Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, which is the one dealing with a bunch of problems over there as we speak. Today, Mossack Fonseca is considered one of the world's 5 biggest wholesalers of offshore secrecy. It has more than 500 employees and collaborators in more than 40 offices around the world, including 3 in Switzerland and 8 in China, and in 2013 had billings of more than $42 million. An interactive summary of some of the most prominent individuals named. 140 politicians from more than 50 countries, connected to offshore companies in 21 tax havens. Heads of state, their associates, ministers, elected officials. Wow. It's got pictures of a bunch of people. The leak also provides details of the hidden financial dealings of 128 more politicians and public officials around the world. The cache of 11.5 million records shows how a global industry of law firms and big banks sell financial secrecy to politicians, fraudsters, and drug traffickers, as well as billionaires, celebrities, and sports stars. These findings show how deeply ingrained harmful practices and criminality are in the offshore world, I would say. So this other document, which I'm going to link both of these to you for your viewing pleasure. Both from Zero Hedge. Mossack Fonseca, the Nazi, CIA, and Nevada connection, and why it's now Rothschild's turn. For all the media excitement about the disclosed names in the Panama Papers leak, in this case represented by the extensive list of Mossack Fonseca clients, this is not a story about which super wealthy individuals did everything in their power, both legal and illegal, to avoid taxes, preserve their financial anonymity, and generally preserve their wealth. Most of the time tax-free. After all, that's what they do, and it should not come as a surprise that they will always do that, especially following last year's disclosures by the same ICIJ, which revealed a list of 100,000 HSBC clients who had been dutifully avoiding the payment of taxes. What the story is about is the nebulous world of offshore tax evasion and tax havens, which, based on data from the World Bank, IMF, UN, and central banks, hide between $21 and $32 trillion, where registered incorporation agents and law firms in small Caribbean countries and not so small U.S. states make the laundering of money and the disappearance of the super wealthy into untraceable numbers hidden behind shell companies possible. So, in order to learn some more about the real star of this story, the Panamanian law firm of Mossack Fonseca, we went to Fusion, which has compiled a fascinating story of the company's history, founders, and key milestone events in its life. It says Raymond Fonseca is the co-founder, and Jürgen Mossack, also co-founder. Continuing on, though, these include the Nazis, the CIA, Mexican drug lords, and of course, the United States. First, there is the Nazi and CIA connection. Jürgen Mossack's family landed here in the 1960s. During World War II, his father had served in the Nazi Party's Waffen-SS, according to U.S. Army intelligence files obtained by the ICIJ. Once in Panama, the elder Mossack offered to spy on communists in Cuba for the CIA. Mossack Fonseca said the firm, quote, will not answer any questions related to private information regarding our company's founding partners. Here is the connection to Mexican drug lord Rafael Caro Quintero, and perhaps to the DEA. Many times, Mossack Fonseca has had no clue which nefarious characters were doing what with the companies the firm created. As when Jürgen discovered in 2005, according to internal emails, that he was the registered agent and listed as the director for a company controlled by the Mexican drug lord Rafael Caro Quintero. The co-founder of the Guadalajara cartel was convicted in Mexico in 1985 for the brutal murder of U.S. DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena. Today, Quintero is again considered a fugitive by the U.S. after walking out of prison in 2013 on a technicality. Mossack Fonseca's senior partners instructed an employee to carry out their resignation from the company upon the discovery. Pablo Escobar was like a newborn compared to R. Caro Quintero, Jürgen wrote in reaction to the news. I wouldn't want to be among those he visits after he leaves prison. And then there's the state of Nevada. In 2013, an Argentine prosecutor's report linked Nevada Incorporated shell companies involved in a major corruption scandal to Mossack Fonseca. When those shell companies became the subject of a federal court battle in Nevada, the leaked files show that Mossack Fonseca employees took steps to remove paper records and to wipe computer files and phone logs at its Las Vegas office. One employee even traveled from Central America to Nevada to bring back files. When Andres came to Nevada, he cleaned up everything and brought all documents to Panama, according to an email dated September 24, 2014. Mossack Fonseca said it categorically denies hiding or destroying documents in its statement to the ICIJ. Quote, "Let us be clear that it is not our policy to hide or destroy documentation that may be of use in any ongoing investigation or proceeding." The leaked documents records also contradict sworn testimony by Jurgen Mossack, who told the federal district court that his firm was separate from MF Nevada. I wonder if they're related to MF Global, its office in Las Vegas, and had no control over it. Mossack Fonseca, quote, "has never maintained an office, establishment, or principal place of business in Nevada," Mossack testified in July of 2015. But according to the ICIJ investigation, internal documents show the opposite, indicating that the firm's Panama City headquarters controlled MF Nevada's bank account, and that the firm's co-founders and one other official with the company owned 100% of MF Nevada. Why is Nevada important? Because recall that according to a recent investigation by Bloomberg, the world's favorite new tax haven is the United States, and specifically several U.S. states such as Nevada, Wyoming, and South Dakota. Wow. I'm going to skip a little bit. And to top it off, there is one specific firm which is spearheading the conversion of the U.S. into Panama, and that is the Rothschild family. Rothschild, the centuries-old European financial institution, has opened a trust company in Reno, Nevada, a few blocks from the Harrah's and El Dorado casinos. It is now moving the fortunes of wealthy foreign clients out of offshore havens such as Bermuda, subject to the new international disclosure requirements, and into Rothschild-run trusts in Nevada, which are exempt. For financial advisors, the current state of play is simply a good business opportunity. In a draft of his San Francisco presentation, Rothschild's penny wrote that the U.S., quote, "is effectively the biggest tax haven in the world," end quote. The U.S., he added, in language later excised from his prepared remarks, lacks, quote, "the resources to enforce foreign tax laws and has little appetite to do so," end quote. So yes, Mossack Fonseca may now be history and its countless uber-wealthy clients exposed, but none other than Rothschild is now delighted to be able to fill its rather large shoes. In fact, someone with a conspiratorial bent mind, maybe, may decide that today's dramatic takedown of the Panama offshoring industry was nothing more than a hit designed to crush the competition of domestic tax haven providers such as Rothschild. Wow, that is interesting. I can't wait to see what people find in those 11.5 million documents as that gets exposed. So again, I will link these two articles to you because these are fantastic. Take care.